Good evening, welcome to tonight's Hearthstone Half Hour. I'm Hammy, this is FailCraft Casts. Hope you're well and good this Monday the 14th of the July. We're halfway through Season 4. As someone corrected me on YouTube the other day, you've still got one more season after this if you are going for that crazy laddering to try and get all the way up for a chance at the Hearthstone World Championship. But if you're like one of us mortals, then jump on in, sit back and relax by the fire. It is Monday, so we do New Player Monday, we do Get Garage, and we just break down a deck that either we've seen a bunch or you guys have requested. So we're going straight into Ancestral Shaman. And I've called this the Dead Rising Edition, and the reason for that is because, in a nutshell, that is the whole deal with Ancestral Shaman. The idea of using the Ancestral Healing spell, and also the very, very splendid Ancestral Spirit spell. Now those set up all kinds of horrible tankiness that cause problems and nastiness abounding everywhere. So we're going to show you how all of that works as we just share this on Twitter. I hear that's traditional, you know. Might be good if we can just let people know what's going on. Okay, that's all shared on Twitter, so we're going to jump into Ancestral Shaman. So, you know, our deck garages, what we always do is a few things. Well, firstly, we go through a build of the deck. We always share the deck that we're taking a look at, and that is shared in chat. We'll also share it in the YouTube. We're looking at a deck by someone called Crusher, and Crusher has legended with this deck ground quite very far up, and he has enjoyed playing with Ancestral Shaman. So what is the idea behind Ancestral Shaman? Well, firstly, let's just look at the two spells that really make this deck or give you the theme. You've got Ancestral Healing. Now you can see that I restore a minion to full health and I give it Taunt. Okay, so an opponent's worn down a minion for no mana, I give it full health and Taunt. That makes me create a fully healed tank of some description. Lovely. And then if we then go and have a look at the 2-mana spell of Ancestral Spirit, where you can see that then we choose a minion. When that minion is destroyed, return it to the battlefield. That is concept number 2 in this deck. Okay, so how do those become a massive, massive pain? It's just a flesh wound. I'm loving the Monty Python reference. If you haven't seen Monty Python the Holy Grail, go and do it. Do it now. Perhaps after this episode, then go do it now. It's very, very worth it. The Python's absolutely awesome, but I digress. So with those, you have Ancestral Healing, and you have Ancestral Spirit. So not only can you give things Taunt, re-heal them all the way back up, but then you can make them come back to life. You can make them come back from the dead, and that is why this is the Dead Rising Edition. There's nothing to do with the fantastic game by those people at Capcom, which you may have played on Xbox One or other times in the past, but it is actually to do with that bringing things back from the dead. So how do we play this Ancestral Shaman? I'm going to rename this Ancestral Shaman. It always reminds me of the Ancestral Trail. The Ancestral Trail. Google the Ancestral Trail. You know, when you're a kid, you have those magazines, and there's always one that's the first one of the series is discounted. It could be 50 cents, 50 pence, 50 euro cents, or whatever it's going to be, and you get some awesome toy in, or some awesome magazine that's the first one of a set, and you think, oh, that whole set looks so good. And the only price for it is 50p, but then the next magazine is £5 or $5 or something crazy, and to get the rest of the set you need to be paying that expensive price. That was the Ancestral Trail, but let us go on the Ancestral Trail now. So what I'm going to do is just take this deck to pieces, and then we are going to, as always, build it for you. Whoa, I don't need your suggestions, Hearthstone, not for the time being, maybe at some other point. Okie dokie, so we're going to jump onto the Ancestral Trail. Right, let's build an Ancestral Shaman. So we've taken a look at the Ancestral cards. Our goal with Ancestral Shaman is to rely on spells and taunts to basically get to the late game, and then basically swarm with big tanks, and pretty much that will work. You are basically trying to slow your opponent down as much as possible until you can throw out loads and loads of big tanks. Now that's generally in a Shaman deck. That's the Earth Elemental. We'll take a look at that in a bit. What the heck? Let's take a look at it now. That's the Earth Elemental. Taunt Overload 3, 7, 8. That's horrible. If I Ancestral Spirit that, and when it dies it comes back to life, that's painful. If I start throwing Faceless Manipulators, and I'm just going to quickly remind you of what a Faceless looks like. If I Faceless Manipulate an Earth Elemental that has Ancestral Spirit, then I'm getting loads and loads and loads of 7 attack, 8 health tanks that come back to life when they've died. And instantly you can see the board filling and filling and filling with all of these tanks, and most opponents will at some stage run out of removal. They will not be able to remove all of the big tanks that you throw at them, and they will pretty much cry. if you get to that stage. So that is Ancestral Shaman. That is the thought of Ancestral Shaman. That's been Souls, Rajanog, welcome. It's great to have you guys with us as well. So that is Ancestral Shaman. So how do we get to that Ancestral Shaman stage? Well, let's quickly build this deck for you, and then we'll jump into some games. We'll go on ladder with this one. I'm still quite low. I've not, when I hit 5, I'm going to stop probably dossing around with decks. But let's build this Shaman. Let's take it into battle. So firstly we take 2 Ancestral Healing. Now that will let us re-heal some minions, but it also lets us make additional taunts. Remember, the Ancestral Shaman is kind of a late game deck. We need to make it to the late game, so because we need to make it to the late game, we need to have tanks in the early and mid game or things to slow people down. Now this combos oh so well with the Injured Blade Master. So remember, the Injured Blade Master is a 4/7 minion, but when you play him, he drops down to 4 and 3. So 4 attack, 3 health. Suddenly, if you heal him up to full health for free and give him taunt, then you've got a 4/7 tank that is quite hard to get through. That is Ancestral Healing's purpose. Next up, what Shaman deck would be complete without Earthshock, right? Silencing the minion, dealing 1. That is also useful against a whole bunch of things. You will use the silence if you have to. This can take out things like Twilight Drakes that buff themselves up with the amount of cards in your hand. It can remove nasty effects of cards. If I want to suddenly stop someone's Gadgets and Auctioneer or something similar in a Miracle Rogue. Anyway, the silence, many uses, the 1 damage, an additional useful effect. So 1 Earthshock comes in as more of a tech. You want to be snapping that out on something that really needs it. Let's grab a couple of Lightning Bolts. Nothing really to say here. Direct damage. This is the early game control that you're needing. 3 damage with Overload 1. That's helping you take out anything in the early to mid game that is a threat of running you over. So you use Lightning Bolts for control. Ancestral Spirit, not the Ancestral Trail. And as we've said, you are throwing these on your big tanks. So when they're destroyed, they return to the battlefield to frustrate your opponent for very, very little mana. That's amazing mana efficiency. Throw that on your Earth Elemental. Your goal is to get one of those on your Earth Elemental in the mid to late game. That's what your Ancestral Spirit would ideally be for. In a pinch, you can use it on other tanks that you have if you need to slow your opponent down. Don't wait for a combo if you're going to get overrun by the time you get out your Earth Elementals. But generally, you want to make the most of your Earth Elemental by popping an Ancestral Spirit on top of it. Next, we have the Feralness. The Feralness? Give me some Feral Spirit. There we go. Now, you use Feral Spirit in this deck, not quite in the sense as you would in sort of any other Shaman deck. Really, your Ancestral Spirit is basically... your Feral Spirit is if you need to stay alive in the early game. It's kind of situational. It's not as key as it is in another Shaman deck. Because basically, this will slow up any aggro decks, and also if there are big threats on the table in the late game, you can use it to slow them down. And also, if you're against something like a Miracle Rogue, it may slow your opponent down just enough to block their winning combo, so you can swing in for the win. So that is why we only have 1 of those Feral Spirits. An excellent card, but we need the card room in this deck for things like Hex. Hex is your control. You are saving your Hexes for big, nasty things, pretty much. Nothing really huge to say about Hex. If you're playing against things like Handlock, or if you're playing against things like Zoo, you're going to use it to hex away the big charging damage threats. Anything that is big and nasty. Control Warrior, you're going to be hexing nasty minions as well, so save it for the big horrible threats unless you can control them in some other way. That is the purpose of the Hex. Next up we have Lightning Storm. Well, what is that? Straight up control. You are wanting to nuke out the way any nasty aggroness and similar things like that. So that will be helping you with your control of the table. You want to be getting to the stage where you can throw down your lovely, lovely Earth Elemental. But against aggro, Lightning Storm is your friend, and you may need it in other situations to weaken minions so that you can finish them off with other spells. That's a keeping you alive spell, keeping the board relatively under control spell. Mana Tide Totem, throw it down if you have your tanks out, or any tanks out, at the right time when it's not just going to get nuked off the board in one go. Ideally, in a pinch you'll throw it down just because you need the card draw, but that's just to try and give a little bit of a push to your card drawing engine. 1 Mana Tide Totem. Next up we have the Unbound Elemental, right? Well, we have a bunch of cards, as you've seen in our early to mid game, that can thrive off of Overload. They play and they overload, so therefore with Unbound Elementals on the table you get some additional minions that will help you trade or survive in the early to mid game. That is what these are for. These are to bridge the gap between all of your controlness with your spells, and then your Earth Elementals, hopefully hitting the table with your nasty combo in the late game. So a couple of those will be very much your sort of chunky piece in the middle. If you can drop it on turn 3, if you don't have an Ninja Blade Master, for example, and then basically you can pretty much throw up some overloads to make this stronger. So you'll be using that to help you trade, help you keep table control. Unbound Elemental, ladies and gentlemen. And then last but not least, we've got the Shaman cards of 2 Earth Elementals, 2 Fire Elementals. We've discussed the Earth Elementals role. Get an Ancestral Spirit on it, Faceless, manipulate it, swarm with as many of these as possible in the mid to late game as you can. These are the things that just make it so hard for your opponent to get through. And then Fire Elemental is an attacking threat, and then do not underestimate that 3 Battle Cry damage. It is really, really awesome. If you're removing a 3 damage threat, or a 3 health threat, that's fine, but really that can weaken other minions that you're going to be coming and swinging in for to try and do some damage with. So never underestimate the power of that 3 ping. It's very, very tasty indeed. Excellent stuff. And let's keep on charging through this deck. We must get some games in and show you how it's rolling. We then have the neutral cards. Okay, so we have Blood Mage Thanos. He gives us extra spell damage for our Shaman spells for control. If he dies, we draw a card. How he plays generally in most other decks, you play him here. 1 Pyromancer, simple, straight up attacking against aggro decks or against token decks. Save your Pyromancer for the right time and you will find yourself throwing spells on top of it to shatter Murlocs, shatter small Shaman totems even in a mirror match, and above all anything paladin-y and nasty. We've already discussed the Blade Master. We throw an Ancestral Healing on top of him, and suddenly he goes from 4-3 when he hits the table to 4-7 with Taunt. That is a brilliant turn 3 combination if you have a 3 mana Injured Blade Master and a 0 Ancestral Healing. So he starts off your big nasty taunting to slow down the game very nicely. We then are going to go for Senjin Shieldmaster, and with Tazdingo, yes, he again is helping us bridge into the mid game, into the late game. If I've got Injured Blade Master down, if I don't have one of those, I can throw down a Senjin. He is just a big enough threat to slow down your opponent's tempo. You're trying to use Senjin to grab a bit of tempo back. If you have lost it, or if you have not lost it, then you're going to be able to use him to cement your control on the board until you can get your Earth Elementals out. So you can see these bridging tanks. We can tank up with the Injured Blade Master, we can tank up with the Senjin Shield Master, and then hopefully by turn 5, turn 6 we're getting our Earth Elemental combo out. So that is the purpose of the Senjin Shield Master. Very, very nearly there. Let us jump in to some games soon. But then we're going to go with 2 Drakes. Now 2 Drakes, again, note the spell damage, note the draw of a card, and in a pinch it's a solid body on the table, and by that I mean for attack, for health, it's pretty chunky. You can use that to do some trades. It's a threat that your opponent will look at and think, oh, maybe I should remove that. But that 4 attack will do enough that you've softened something up to go in for the kill next go. And then, look, hey, in a pinch you can turn it into a tank to slow things down too. So the spell damage goes with the Shaman cards. You need to keep your card engine drawing. And that battle cry of drawing a card lets you do that too. Now the Faceless. There's only 1 Faceless in this list, but you could go for 2. So Faceless, we've already said you can Faceless, not Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon 2, but Faceless Manipulator. Toothless doesn't have quite so many suckers, and he's generally a lot cuter than this terrible Faceless one. You copy your Earth Elemental, you copy some kind of nasty tank or threat, and of course you can always use Faceless to copy one of your opponent's horrible attacking threats as well. So Faceless Manipulator, if you have an Earth Elemental with something like Ancestral Spirit, so when it dies it comes back to life, and then you copy it, then you have 2 for the price of 5 mana that die and come back to life. Your opponent is just wondering how he's going to get through these huge chunky walls of tanks that you're putting up, and really that's the goal of Ancestral Shaman, as we discussed at the beginning. So 2 final cards, the black. You know nothing, Jon Snow, nothing. That's not a very good Ygritte impression, but there you go. The Black Knight, so we use this in the late game. This is situational. You could swap this out for something else, but basically you need to remove a tank, you can bust through stuff, and then a nice combo that you do have is Ancestral Healing. If I drop Ancestral Healing on one of my opponent's minions, I give it Taunt, and then the Black Knight, I can use the Destroy an Enemy Minion with Taunt to remove it. So hey, they've dropped Ysera, I can play a 0 card, and then the Black Knight and destroy their Ysera for free. Free. It's really good. So not only can you use that to bust your ways through enemy tanks, but you can also use it with that sneaky little combo to remove enemy threats as well. Do not forget an Ancestral Healing and Black Knight. That can really save your bacon if you need it. Okay, we are almost there, and the last card. You need some kind of finisher. Well, you know, if we've thrown up all our tanks, well, you know what, RNG Naros, he is just solid. If he gets silenced, he's an 8/8 minion. If he isn't silenced, he's throwing down pain all over the table. If you hide him behind an Earth Elemental or a couple of Earth Elementals, your opponent, unless they've got insane control that they have saved for the late game, then really they're going to be bust. They're really going to struggle. So that is the purpose of RNG Naros. Comet Growl! Welcome, Comet Growl! We are taking a little look into Ancestral Shaman for beginners. Just having a little run through it. So those are 30 cards. The Ancestral Trail, the epic story of myth, magic and monsters. I digress into card games. So that should be the identical list. That certainly is. Right, step 2. Okay, in our New Player Mondays, what we always do to start with is run through the deck. We build it with the cards. We show how it's meant to work. Then the next thing we do is take it into the game and see how it works in real life. Now you can see that I'm just chilling on the low ends of the ladder at the moment. So I've not been zooing. I don't know what you're talking about. How dare you accuse me of such a thing? Okay, so let's actually go and play this into the ladder. I do remember, of course, I'm denying all knowledge of the fact that my auto highlight was left on top of Zoo. Okay, this could be an interesting one. So if it's a handlock, we have a nice matchup. If we're going to get rushed in the face, then it could be a tough matchup. With Dazunus, we just need to make sure that we have lots of early game drops. I do not know whether he's going to be a zoo or whether he's going to be a handlock, so I'm going to assume that he's a zoo. So I'm going to do a full mulligan, and what I want to be mulliganing for, I'm assuming zoo because I'm quite low on the ladder. I need Lightning Bolts, Wild Pyromancer, Lightning Storm, maybe Ancestral Healing. I at least have a Pyromancer, so I need those cards so I can start controlling his small minions. And there we go, he's thrown down the Voidwalker. So I can be pretty, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that he's going to be zooing. So what can I do? Okay, if I can, you know, Pyromancer or Storm, then I'm good. I can stall until I get it together, but you know what, I could start going out real aggressive real early. I'm going to save that Earthshock though for something nasty. Do I want to coin into anything? I want to save that Pyromancer so I can throw cheap spells after it. There's no point Ancestral Spiriting or anything for the moment. A coining out a totem would be a waste at this stage, so I'm actually just going to knock on the table and pass. Now you can see that I do have the Pyromancer, I do have the Earthshock, so I can wipe out several minions in one go. If I pull out the Pyromancer, ooh, that's a nasty drop. Okay, now it's not quite a full-on zoo, but that will let me have to think a little bit. So what I can do is I can drop Pyromancer. I can then throw down. Can I take out his 3 health in one go? I cannot quite. So for that reason, but I can silence him so that it will disappear. I think I'm actually just going to throw down a totem. Okay, there we go. We can run some business. Have to play StarCraft sometimes. I'm average at best at the StarCrafts. Okay, right. So he's got powered up. That's fine. He's got 3 health. Now he's dropped the Priestess. Okay, I hope that doesn't power this up. Ooh. I'm going close to the wire. Oh, he did. Oh, however, my silence will drop him down. Okay, so do I have enough of a combo? So my silence should drop him to 2 health. Which will be good. So let's see if I'm good with my combos. There goes the Pyromancer. The silence should then drop him down to health, and then the Pyromancer goes whoosh, bam, smash. And hey, you know what? Actually, there's nothing I can play off the back of this coin, so maybe I should have waited to go. Now, do I throw down the coin and just do a wipe? That could be a game-breaking decision. I could have lost the game through that decision. Maybe saving that coin till next turn was wise. He would have had to trade one of those 2 anyway. I don't know. Oh, that's a nasty little bit of comboage. And look at that. It's not a full-on zoo, but he's Argent Squad, throwing down the Blood Knight. I love that card. And suddenly he's buffed up. All minions lose Divine Shield, and you gain 3/3 for each shield lost. Right. Well, there's nothing really I can do apart from negate that threat, so I'm just going to Hex and tap on the table. But what I kind of need is a big lightning storm. I need a lightning storm. A lightning storm will actually set this fine. I've got him okay under control, but you can see that suddenly he's got the tanks out. He's starting to drop the Knife Juggler. There goes Namani Berserker. His chip damage is slowly going to start building on up. Welcome, Zano. Good to see you this evening, sir. Okay, what have we got? Well, I can throw up a big tank. That's good. I've got some tankage. Oh, and hey, you know what? This might stop him in his tracks. Right, here's an example. Let me tell you a tale. Once upon a time there was an injured Blade Master. And this injured Blade Master, oh, he hurt himself because he was so sad. But then he got an Ancestral Healing. And he then got 7 health. And then finally he got an Ancestral Spirit. So that when he died, he would come back to life in exactly the same way. And there was much rejoicing. You know, I was just inspired by that Monty Python quote, so we had to come back with one of our own. There was much rejoicing. I believe that was to do with the tale of Sir Robin, for those of you familiar with Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So what we've done is shown you one of the combos of Ancestral Shaman and how it can be so nasty. Chip damage, okay, he can throw all of his minions at this and kill all of his minions. He might have Soulfire. If he has... Okay, fair enough. He's going to get another chip damage, fine. Yeah, in he goes. Now, if he slams me down, I'll come back to life. And then if he wants to, he can attack me with the Berserker to buff up to 5. No, he's just going for my face. He's going for the rush. Okie dokie, what can we do? Well, I can start trading away with this. We have options. Now, the Faceless Manipulator will let me manipulate into another Blade Master. Lightning Bolt will let me remove this. I can then hit and let me remove that. He's still got a Swarm on. And the challenge here for me is that I don't have the tanks. Don't have the tanks that we need. The Mana Tide will let me draw, but I really need to remove threats. So I'm going to have to Lightning Bolt. And my combos are either Totemic Core, Lightning Bolt, and Earthbound Elemental, where I can Faceless Manipulate to get another minion on the table. Let's have a think. Well, the chip damage is nasty. That Amani Berserker, if he gets big, will also be nasty. And finally, this is nasty that I need to remove. So it's just generally all pretty nasty. It's not very reassuring, is it? Whenever I play a card with Overload, I can make a 3/5 with this, whereas the Faceless Manipulator will be a 4/7 that I can't play. I'm going to risk a Totem and see if I can get it. Oh, a spell damage. Okay, 4 damage. That is nice, because what that will let me do is actually just spell damage remove this. Oh, a misplay, because I should have dropped my Unbound Elemental. That was very silly of me. Very silly of me. That would have buffed my Elemental. Fail, 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 fail. I'm just typing fail up. I knew what I was going for then. I just forgot to play it in the right order. Oh dear. Okay, so, well, if he starts dropping charge cards, we could be in a bit of trouble. If there's any Leroy, or if there's any nasty, I'm thinking of the Arcane Golem. The Arcane Golem, 5 attack, 7 health. He has got a nasty 7 damage on the table already, but I can start trading this away. Now, the important thing with Zoo is if I get an Earth Elemental, it's really going to cause him trouble. There we go. He's decided to take one off. Okay. Alrighty then. A Scarlet Crusader. Another chip damage. Soulfire. He's going to try and remove that with a 2. Okay. So he leaves himself with a nasty card on the table. Now I have just... Okay, well I've got lucky and I've drawn into my Earth Elemental. He will be able to kill it and then attack me in the face. So the annoying thing here is, look, is that I cannot quite... Ooh, all I can do is just throw down the Earth Elemental. That's my only option to keep me in this game. Now it's frustrating, please note, that I have just not drawn that Lightning Storm. Lightning Storm, where are you? Lightning Storm is exactly what you need against Zoo. There goes the Young Priestess. Okay, he's just going for the all-on rush victory. Now if I had a Lightning Storm, it would reset the board, But yeah, he can sacrifice his Berserker. He can sacrifice one other minion. He'd probably go for the bubble one if I was him. No, he's kept his bubble alive to attack me for 3. 6. Oh, no lightning storm. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It is most likely that he will perish me. He will end me. End me next go. Right. There's nothing I can charge into. All I can really do is see if I can stick a tank up. Oh! Could this be? If I draw into it, right. If I live one more turn, he only needs one. Well, no, he needs more than 1 damage for lethal, unless he's got a Soulfire. He's life tapping. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He needs 1 damage. There goes the Direwolf, so he has it. He does have a lethal. And can he? 4, 8. No, yes, he has a lethal. Good game. So I shall concede. And let's get another game in to see how this deck can really perform. Proper performance. Oh, still rank 12, just. Okay, so what did we see there? We saw one of the weaknesses, as it were, of Ancestral Shaman, in that it's a late game deck, so I need to draw into my control spells in the early game. What did I not get there? I did not get a Lightning Storm. I had the Pyromancer, and the Pyromancer did some of his work, but could I have played it a bit later? There was a misplay by me. I needed to play a Lightning Bolt after the Unbound Elemental to actually buff that up, so that was me rushing in a little bit there. Right, I've got a Shaman. What kind of Shaman could this be? Other matchups. I think really in this matchup I just need to make sure I can control his early game. So Shaman, I think, if depending on what kind of Shaman he's playing, I'm actually not going to play this too much different to the way in which I would attempt to play against a Zoo or an aggro. I'm assuming he's going to throw stuff down early game. If he goes mid or mid-range, or if he's playing a mirror match, we'll see what we draw into. So a bit of a better, at least I've got a Lightning Storm this time, so if I have to remove lots of Shamans, totems and all other kinds of things, I have the option there, which is excellent. And the Knife Juggler comes down. He's probably going to be rushing. You see a Knife Juggler, it's expecting lots of cheap minions after it. So let us see what we can do. Well, I could throw down the Pyromancer, but I'm going to keep it because I would like to combo it up. So I'm just going to chuck a totem down. 8 spell damage, fine. That buffs up my Lightning Storm. If he suddenly throws down lots of little minions, it is nasty to go into an overload turn 3. But at least, yep, he's just decided to trade away my spell damage totem. There goes the Flame Tongue. And with his chip damage, is this enough to throw down a Lightning Storm in the early game? It's a bit excessive, but I'm going to go for it. Okay, so I'm overloaded. Remember, next turn I've only got 2 mana, but as soon as you see a Flame Tongue totem go down, and that was an equally dangerous minion, a Knife Juggler, that's very aggressive of me. But because we are like this, I can actually, I can even sneak out a Thalnos. Thalnos will give me the spell damage buff, let's not forget, and also when he dies I get card draw. So I'm happy like Pharrell, happy like dancing through the streets of LA in the morning. And there we go, he overloads himself and he gives me a card draw, so even if it did nothing else, it certainly helped me kick in a little bit. Okie dokie. Right, well, we have options galore here. I think the solidest, most solid one, I don't really need to Pyromancer at this point, but I can throw down an Unbound Elemental. I may as well just throw down a Bolt, and that buffs up a nice little minion there for me. 3 attack, 5 health will keep me on the table for some time. Let us see what we can see with this. So that, at the moment, trade back and forth. He's overloaded, I'm overloaded. Good. See, you know what? We're happy. You should be pretty happy if your opponent in a match like this is using CC on things like your Unbound Elemental, because it means that to your nasty threats in the late game, he's not going to have so many options to deal with them. Now, I know at this point in time that there's actually, you know, I want to save my Ancestral Spirit. The Pyromancer I don't really need to play. I want to save the Ancestral Healing if possible. So there's really every reason just to throw down totems. And I think this isn't a bad time to get my mana tied out. He might go for it all guns blazing. He is on 6 mana, of course, but at least I've got the card draw. So at least that must be the only not fans of Pharrell. It was quite overplayed, I'll give you that. There was a lot of Pharrell going around. Okay, so the Yeti has come down. Now I have many player makers that I can make. At the risk of killing my own taunting minions. So let's see what we can do. Right, I can tap this guy for 1. I can throw down the pyro. I can then throw down the lightning bolt, which will do 3. I can then, let's see, right, that's 3, 4, 4, 5, 6. So for 6 mana, I think I can remove this and have a nice 4/7 tank. I won't have the Ancestral Spirit on it. Now the other option is if I play the Unbound Elemental, but there's only one thing with Overload. I prefer to have the tank at this point in time. So let's play this carefully. Right, firstly, we will attack for 1 and sacrifice our totem. Goodbye, totem. He perishes. Next we play the Wild Pyromancer. Next we play the Injured Blade Master. Next we play Lightning Bolt. And note that then the additional boom headshot, and I'm actually going to play Ancestral Healing. This is going to sacrifice my Pyromaster. Goodbye, Pyromaster, Pyromancer. You served us well. But I'm left with a 1 health Monetide and a 4/6 tank. Comments on the song Happy. You did not see a 65-year-old man dance to it outside Primark. You know, I did not. Okay, we've drawn a second hex. The second hex has come in, and our opponent is now going all out to try and control us. Do you know what? That's actually absolutely fine, because at the moment we have tempo, so we're kind of swinging in nicely, and we have just drawn into combo. Welcome to Combo Town. So, Combo Town. So this is the nicer way, more nice way of when Elemental Ancestral Shaman works out. So, yeah, we're turn 8, we're feeling good. We can drop that Earth Elemental, we can throw down Ancestral Spirit, and we just, make some kind of crazy hand signs, and we say, you know what, Shaman, it's your move. What are you going to do? What you going to do? You play 2 hexes, what are you going to do? So this is how it works. The Shaman is already thinking, right, I need big minions, I need things that can remove that. How do I remove that nasty taunting minion? And he's suddenly got a bit of swarmage out, so he's going to be healing up his Imp Master, he's going to be swarming lots of Imps. He could Bloodlust, let's not forget that he can throw down a nasty Bloodlust and cause us all manners of trouble. However, what he does not take into consideration is we are a Shaman, so hey, you know what? Oh, Earth Elemental 2. So I'm gonna play uber conservative and just bin that. I'm then going to be even more conservative and stop his healing totem. Now we have a Monetide totem, and you know that this Monetide totem has stayed down for 3 turns. We've just managed to hide it behind those taunting minions for long enough, and it's just feeding us card. There goes Ragnaros, but you know what? I look at Ragnaros and I go, hey Ragnaros, I can meet your Ragnaros with a Ragnaros. Okay, he's got 1, that's fine. We do need to be slightly careful. If our Hex came now, that would be quite nice. So, 2 options. Either we can't play our own Ragnaros because we're overloaded. So, you know what I do? I do this, and I say, 2 of those, lovely. You see the Faceless Manipulator coming in there very nicely. And then I can Ancestral Spirit another one of these when it comes back to life. So there you go. Right, I cannot quite take down Ragnaros. I've got a whole bunch of options. I'm just going to go for a control. I could go for a control play. I'm just going to remove that minion from the table. Because at the end of the day, if Ragnaros hits one of mine, he hits one of mine. There's nothing I'm going to be able to do. He will bin that or this. But then it'll come back to life and oh, I've got Ancestral Spirit in my hand again. Right, he's Azure Draking as well now. I can get down my own Ragnaros, and then it's going to get nasty. Oh, okay. He's possibly going to try and remove this using... There we go. Oh, Feral Spirit. Okay, going crazy. Whoa, that's a loaded table and 3/4. There we go. I've taken a Ragnaros to the face. Never nice. And you know what? This is where I feel okay. Everything is awesome, as the Lego Movie would say. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Sorry for the singing. I just saw Lego Movie, and that song, as you know, is the most on your head thing in the world ever. That's pretty much all I can say about it. It's crazy. It's so crazy. I'm going to Azure Drake in because I want to draw some more cards. Drawing cards is good. So, okay, I'm not going to quite die. I can clear both of these off the table. I may as well, you know, as I can, throw those into play. I'm not going to Ancestral Spirit at this point. May as well throw down a Totem. Still got Ragnaros in my pocket. And I'm going to remove that final other tank as well. So, note that another turn, the Manatide Totem is feeding us with cardy goodness and sending us, hopefully, on our way. I'm just going to touch wood here towards victory. So this is... The last game was a challenge. We were playing an aggro deck and we did not get our control out. That is a challenge with Ancestral Shaman. When you play this, okay, there goes the Bloodlust. We were expecting this. Remember, both of these come back to life. There we go. Oh, okay. Yep. Yep. Nope. Oh! And this is where your opponent is just looking, going, oh. Your opponent is just looking at and going, what it's still alive. And then, you know what, just to add insult to injury. Ooh, Ancestral Spirit. So this is, I'm not BMing here, but this is how this deck works. If you get to this stage, then there's so, you know, most decks would have run out of control long ago, and if they don't have an advantageous minion position to you, then they're in a lot of trouble. So let's slam it into the face. And you know what, I'm just going for insane, like, aggressive control here. I might have even had a lethal, so I'm really not BMing intentionally. But this is the uber cautious finish, where I've reanimated my Shaman, and pretty much with a card draw, with a Ragnaros to the face. And in this situation, when you've managed to keep your opponent's minions under control, note that our Earth Elemental has come back to life like 3 or 4 times. And caused pain. We've had the equivalent of like 4 regenerated Earth Elementals, and he has thrown all kinds of things at it, and he has not managed, sadly, to get anywheres. So, the correct combo here for the finish goes a little... Oh! I've just messed things up for myself. Oh, okay, right. I almost messed that up. Right, there we go. That will combo to the finish. So, there we go. Well played, and along with our little card draw, a bit of healage, and then the Ragnaros swings in for the win. So 1 star down, 1 star up. That is the ladder shuffle, and that is tonight's Golden Wind Fury. Ooh, shinies. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. That has been tonight's Hearthstone half hour. Now, what we did tonight was, you may have remembered last Wednesday, on Ladder Wednesday, we were playing around a bit with Ancestral Shaman. So we grabbed the deck, as always, we built it in my collection as always, we took a look at each card and thought, you know what, let's see how this works. And then last but not least, we took our deck list into the game, and we took it into the ladder this time, because everything is cool when you're rank 12 on the ladder and not really losing any big storage. As soon as we get to rank 5, we'll get locked down into a couple of decks, but we're kind of just mixing our way on up at the moment. And look, I'm going to admit it, when we logged in, you saw my blue highlight over this. Yeah, I was playing Zoo. Please don't judge me. But that was Ancestral Shaman. So if you have tuned in for the first time, a quick wrap up for you. You can find us on youtube.com/FailCraft Casts if you're live on the stream. Now there's a whole bunch of Hearthstone Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft, other content there, Minecraft to come soon, a whole bunch of stuff, go check it out. If you are looking on YouTube and you want to see the liveness of all this, come get involved with the chat, join in. We are Monday through Friday most of the time, around about 7 to 8 PM GMT we try to start, and you can find out when by keeping an eye on @FailCraftCasts on Twitter, and that lets you come and have a chat, come give us a shout even when we're not streaming. It's great to have you with us. So if you can join in live, twitch.tv/FailCraftCast, subscribe for free, and then you can see with an email that is sent to you when I go live or similar. And then last but not least, the website is failcraft.org. On there you can find blogs, articles, a bit of news, all of the videos framed with text and things if you can't watch a video for some reason. Maybe you're hiding at work or similar. And then last but not least, some new player resources, some links and other articles and things that live better in a textual form than perhaps in a video that we're used to. So that is us for this evening. That was New Player Monday. This is FailCraft Casts, and I've been Hammy, and you as an audience always have been wonderful. Great to have you. Big shout out to Zano, Legion, Rajanor, Bunny, and a whole bunch of other people who joined in live. Good to see you all. Tomorrow night, just as a shout for you guys who are live, we're not going to be streaming tomorrow night because it is an important birthday for someone, the most important person in my life. So I'm having a day off tomorrow. How unreasonable. But not unreasonable in the slightest. I'm kidding. So yeah, having a lovely break tomorrow night. Going to have a lovely, lovely day. And I'm going to be back later in the week. So hopefully see you soon. And take it easy.